I'm really honored and delighted to address the Parliamentary Assembly for the first time as a governor. I am particularly pleased to do that at this juncture of time for two reasons. The first one is, as President Cox was saying, the fact that this dialogue takes place after the Reykjavik summit, an historical moment when a very precise roadmap was articulated, and I believe that the bank can be a very useful instrument to put this in practice. And indeed, if I were to desire you to come home with a single message, the single message would be, hey, the SEB can help. And it is important not only for you to know that, but also for the communities in your constituency, the institutions of your country to know that. Now, the SEB is the oldest multilateral development bank in Europe, and as President was recalling, is the only one in the world which is tasked only with a social mission. And indeed, the social mission is, if you will, the second point that makes me particularly happy to address you here. I understand from President that today there was in the morning among you a very lively debate on how to make sure that social rights are considered an important component of the essential values that the Council of Europe is promoting, and a social bank is an important instrument to be used for that. In 1956, there were 8 members. Over time, membership has widened, and now it includes 42 countries. And I stress again the words of the President that we really look forward to an expansion of membership, as your recommendation on European solidarity very clearly states, and as we are actively pursued in general, and most particularly now at this juncture with Ukraine that is just in the process of finalizing its accession. The SEB has been continuously adapting to changing contexts in which it operates. It has evolved creating new tools, new instruments just to meet the borrower's need. But while doing that, it has avoided any mission creep, as the jargon goes. It has continued to focus on its social mandate only. With this mandate, we have been very active and effective in providing support and help during emergencies. We had the migrant crisis, we had the pandemic, where the bank was really very quick. And if we compare the way we operated with some of our peers, well, they may have come later with bigger pockets, bigger amount of money, but we were the first to disburse, the first to have money there to help when it was needed. Just I like to quote the example of the pandemic. It was the lockdown in February, we had an extraordinary meeting of the AC via Zoom, of course, in April. In May, the first money were out of the door. And it is quite an impressive achievement. Now, what is the mechanism under the way the banks operate? It is a model whereby, thanks to our excellent rating, we are able to raise money that are cheap. But this financial advantage is entirely passed on to the borrower. And in this way, you have governments, local authorities, NGOs, who are borrowers that are benefiting from it, but ultimately it is the user of social services that is benefited from it. As a social bank, the SEB approves projects according to very strict sustainability criteria, hence taking care as a cross-cutting themes, gender equality, climate change, but we do that with a special approach, the focus on meeting the needs of the most vulnerable. You can understand from these perspectives, from the way we operate, that through our concrete actions, through our projects, we uphold the core values of the Council of Europe in all of our activities, maintaining a strong ties with our parent institution, with the Council of Europe, but of course I'm very keen to maintain these ties with all the other institutions and with you in particular. Now, this year is a momentous year and is coming after a year that has been quite dramatic. And in this, the SEB was able to achieve 3 extraordinary efforts. The first one was to react to the refugees crisis coming out of the war, just redirecting 1/3 of our activity to support refugees. We disbursed 1.3 billion loans, and as you can imagine, how rapid and effective, but at the same time testing was to just move 1/3 of the things we do to cope with the emergency of the moment. The second important milestone last year was the approval of our strategic framework, which is our roadmap for the next 5 years. And this came out of a thorough discussion with our membership to identify the priorities. And the strategic framework is underpinned by the third milestone achievement of 2022, a capital increase. The first one in the history of the bank that comes with fresh money, which in the dire straits of public finances is something that is a very important sign of confidence that shareholders have in us, have in our capacity to deliver. And the fact that it's so important also in the eyes of the financial market was shown by the fact that Moody's provided immediately a change in their view, upgrading the bank to the triple A level. In the meantime, we have continued to deliver on our fronts. We approved 36 projects. We reinforced the participation in key networks with our peers. We were very active, for example, to join the InvestEU program, which will be instrumental to have €500 million in loan, which otherwise just would not happen. There is a point that might sound a bit technical, but instead it has a very important symbolic and political significance. The fact that we pursue our social objectives also on the liability side of the balance sheet, which means, in plain English, that we issue social bonds, i.e. bonds whose proceeds are explicitly targeted to certain projects. So last year we were the first one to issue in the global markets bonds, Ukrainian bonds, bonds that would go whose proceeds would go directly to support Ukraine. And we have been consistent on that. We are the first institution to build a 7-year full curve. I mean, it might sound exotic, over-technical. No, but it's very, very concrete. We have been issuing a 7-year bonds, 1 year after the next, for 7 years. So really a symbol of our dedication. And really our capacity to react quickly to emergencies stands out. There's been the tragedy of the devastating earthquakes in Turkey in February. We have been very quick in mobilizing resources. We have pledged €500 million at the International Donors Conference that was co-hosted by the European Commission and Sweden in March. In April, with an extraordinary meeting, once again, to react to emergency, the Administrative Council has approved a €200 million loan to this effect. And as we were both mentioning before, we participated at the Reykjavik summit with these two important, if you will, focuses on the bank's activity. One, our capability to deliver results in the support to Ukraine. And the second part is us, as I was elaborating at the beginning of my intervention, of being instruments of the Council of Europe. Let me conclude. A consolidated ability to respond flexibly and rapidly to our member states' needs is what makes the SEB the social development bank of choice for Europe. This special capacity has to be leveraged as much as possible. So let me reiterate my commitment to work with our member states and engaging with them and with all of you with the twin objectives of invigorating social cohesion and ensuring that no one is left behind. And these objectives are essential for democracy, prosperity, and peace. Thank you for your attention.